I think that it's something that destroys so many business owners mentally and emotionally. So today I wanted to share an absolute game changer in our business, especially as it started scaling. I really wanted to share this because I think that it's something that destroys so many business owners mentally and emotionally. If you don't know who I am, I'm Michael Mojo. I'm the owner of Mojo Human Performance Institute. We focus on business, mindset, and lifestyle hacking for driven mofos, and most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them, hence why I'm sharing this stuff. Anyway, as our business was starting to scale, I really struggled with building systems and processes, and it was something that I absolutely hated. I was more of a creative type person. I love connecting with people. My skill set is human behavior. And so I guess I was probably up there with some of the top coaches in the country. And so I used to work with a lot of very high level business owners, from multimillionaires to people who are worth hundreds of millions, rich listers, and some of them billionaires. Also used to work with professional athletes, and we ran seminars and events and so on. Actually, I said I used to, but we actually still do work with those people. Anyway, what I found was that I really felt conflicted most days in our business because I would go to work and I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to help our staff. All the people around me who had successful businesses said you need to build systems and processes and structures in your business. And every time I would do it, my brain would lock up. I would sit there. I would drink like 15 cups of coffee a day. Maybe that was a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'd have enough coffee to probably blow the brains out of about 40 kids if they had the same amount of coffee as what I had. And even for most adults, they probably wouldn't sleep for a week. I just really struggled with it. And I think so many business owners that I've worked with struggle with that. And what I found was that I was just thinking about it all wrong. And no one had ever told me what a system or a process, I mean, they're different, but a system essentially, from my point of view, is the systems that work in the business. Then you've got processes, which are what people follow in order to make sure that the system runs. That's how I think about it anyway. The process is really just a decision-making process. Now, the way that I figured this out was that at our events, I would get so stressed out because at lunchtime, like I would speak from 10 a.m. in the morning until 10 p.m. at night in some of our events. Sometimes we would start at 8 a.m. in the morning and I would speak until 11 or 12 at night. So some of our events even used to go until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning for multiple days. So they were quite intense. And what I found was that I would be up on stage and I'm talking the whole time and I'm giving all this energy to all these people in the event. And then my team would come up to me at lunchtime and say, "What do you want for lunch?" And my brain would just sit there and it was like mush. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Just put food in front of me and I will eat it. And they're like, "Well, we don't know what you want." And so this went on for ages and I would get so stressed out. I'm like, guys, you just need to, like, this is my team, you just need to like go get me lunch. Normally I eat something relatively healthy. At nighttime I prefer more carbohydrates just because they help me to sleep better, but normally during the day I will eat lighter and leaner if I can, as long as it's high in protein as well, just for training and all of those things. I found that works best for me. So anyway, I was sitting there thinking through it and I thought, well, how do I put this decision-making process down on paper? So I started mapping out my decision-making process. Okay, so step one is for lunch. Normally I eat lighter, so I'll have like, here are 4 options. Here's normally what I like around about that. Normally I eat gluten-free because I just find that gluten normally makes me lethargic, so I'd rather not have that at our events because I end up half brain dead and groggy, so that's not what I want. So I mapped all this stuff out and then I went, shit, I just created a process. Now this is a decision-making process for our team members, so they can pretty much go and get one of those 5 meals for me. Make sure that it's gluten-free. Please make sure you go and order it 5 minutes before the event finished, because what I would also notice was that I would walk out of my events, the majority of our participants had already walked out. They've gone and lined up and got lunch at the local cafes or at the restaurants or whatever. So I would walk in there. I'm the last person in the cafe. I need to be the first person back. So most of the time I either had to eat in like 2 minutes. And so I'm scoffing down food. I felt like shit getting back there. I know I was running late. So I had this anxiety of like, shit, I need to get back. And it wasn't working for me. So I wrote out this whole process. I implemented it, went through it all with them, and bang, all of a sudden things started working. And I went, wow, no one ever taught me that if you're creating processes in your business, they're just a decision-making process. If you think about how you make decisions, that there is your process. That's all that it is. Whereas when I used to sit down there, when I would sit down to try and create a process, I would think, what has to happen? Why does it have to happen that way? And so my brain would lock up because I wasn't thinking about it from how I do things. Now, I know for some people out there, like when I told my wife, Jess, she's a systems process type person. And she was like, I know this, no shit. But I'd never been taught that. So for me, it was like mind-blowing. And I have taught this to so many entrepreneurs and business owners where they're like, Michael, I hate doing systems. I hate doing process. I hate creating structures in the business. Normally I just can figure things out on my feet. But the problem is that they always have to be the one who's making the decisions because they're the decision maker. Now, they're not making high-level decisions because most of their time is spent with staff and, making decisions. And a lot of the time they'll come to me, whether it's in one-on-one coaching or at our events, and they go, my staff's useless. Like the most logical things they can't figure out themselves. And so I have to train them that that's because your staff have different value sets. They have different value structures. They're not entrepreneurial, so they don't think like you. They won't think like you. Your hiring strategy is wrong. Your firing strategy is all wrong. In fact, you're just winging it. And that's the majority of business owners, especially in startup and as they scale as well. That's what tends to happen. And that's where the majority of stress comes in. That's normally where I get a lot of business owners in between that $1 to $3 to $4 million mark that come to some of our events like Thrive Time or our Odyssey Business Mastermind or Business Odyssey, because I think business is an odyssey. It's a journey. It's something that you don't just go and do a weekend course or whatever and everything works out. It's something that you've got to be committed to for a fair period of time in order to learn those skill sets. So anyway, a lot of business owners at that scale, whether it's, 1 to 3 or it might even be below 5 million, really, the majority of them are just so stressed out because they know they need systems, they know they need processes, but they actually hate doing those things instead of realizing it's just their decision-making process and how they think through things. And if they can just map that out and write it down, then all that needs to happen is after that, it becomes a test piece. So you give it to your staff, you let them test it and you find out what breaks, and then you go and improve that process and that decision-making process. Because what most business owners, entrepreneurial type people will find is that they go, oh shit, I forgot that. And so they add that little bit in and, oh yeah, I didn't think that they would get that part wrong or whatever. So you just keep building on that process. And after a while, then your staff know what to do. And when they become competent, then you don't have to worry about the process as much anymore unless it needs updating. So anyway, I hope that helps because it's something that massively stressed me out and used to put so much pressure on us when we were scaling. Well, we're still scaling. I hope that this really helps because it definitely used to stress me out. And I know that it stressed out a lot of business owners and entrepreneurial type people. So just remember, it's just your decision-making process. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe, like, and share, as most people waste their life and I just don't want you to be one of them. Anyway, never underestimate the dream. Keep getting out there, keep crushing it, driven mofos, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.